Hey, what's up, guys? This is Mr. 502, and I have a couple tidbits of Madden NFL news. More than likely, I would say probably the last tidbits we'll get before the game actually drops. The game should hit EA Access in, I think, about 2.5 weeks, something like that. So I don't see them releasing too much more news. But what we did get today was the official game soundtrack. I'm gonna go down a list of songs, and after I go through the list, I'll let you know what I think is the contract. I mean, as a soundtrack as a whole. So it starts out with "Bounce" by 2 Chainz and Lil Wayne. Then "Hear Me Now" by 303. "Rings" by Aesop Rock, not ASAP Rocky, Aesop Rock. I don't know who that is. "Right Here, Right Now" by American Authors. "Come Down" by Anderson .Paak. "Giant" by Banks and Steel. "Winter Circle" by Beer Hands. "River" Bishop Briggs. "Straight Outta Cold Beer" by Blake Shelton. "Acting Our Age" by Kel Dodds. "Missile" by Dorothy. "Roll Up" by Fitz and the Tantrums. "Who's With Me" Flo Rida. "Catch Me" featuring Nays by Flux Pavilion, Yellow Claw, and Nas, not Nas, Nas. "Oh No" by Goodbye June. "Lights Come On" by Jason Aldean. "Glass House" Halio. "Jambo" by Camus. "Wrist" by Logic and Pusha T. "Blow Your Mind" by Ohana Bam. "Believe" by Rome's. How Else" by Steve Aoki. "Rich the Kid" and I Love Mackin'. "Turn Up" by The Heavy. "Kiss the Sky" by the Knox and Wyclef Jean. "New Design" by The Chemist. "Rebel Heart" by The Shelters. "Victorious" by Wolf Mother. "Why You Always Hatin'" by YG, Drake, and Kamiya. "Jungle Youth" by Youth the Giant, or Young the Giant. And that is the full soundtrack. There's a couple notable artists. You got 2 Chainz, 303, Flo Rida, Jason Aldean, Blake Shelton, Logic. I mean, there's some notable artists on there. There's obviously a bunch of lesser known artists. That's kind of what EA does. Usually, when they're releasing a Madden track, they very rarely have a soundtrack full of real notable artists. Back in the day, especially mid 2000s Madden, I think Madden was real good about getting newer artists exposure. I remember Atreyu got exposure. Good Charlotte. One of the first places I heard them was on Madden. Um, Rise Against, one of the first places I heard them was on Madden. So they've always done a good job of getting newer artists exposure. I've listened to the samples of every song on the soundtrack. It's definitely there's a big variation of music on there. Not every song's for me, but I don't got too much to complain. It's a real decent long soundtrack. There's about 20 something songs on there. So, I mean, maybe they could have got a couple more notable guys, but I really honestly don't have too much to complain about. And regardless, even if the soundtrack was amazing, I usually just turn on the NFL Films music about halfway, about a month or two into the game. Anyways, I enjoy that music better. One thing I would want Madden to do with their soundtrack, I think it'd be kind of cool. I don't know how a viable option it is, but having every Madden song from every Madden ever, and just all in one game, and every year they can just add music to their library of music, so you have a real huge library of music. And a lot of them songs, especially for me, it takes me back to that place. Like if I hear a song from Madden '05, it takes me back to that time in my life, and just, I don't know, it's pretty cool to reminisce hearing those older songs. So I like to see them add maybe a big track library into the game like that. The other notable news that came out, I think it came out yesterday afternoon, was the full release of the rosters, every single player. There's some notable things. It seems like overalls in general are down quite a bit this year, but I don't think that actual attributes are down. I think they might even be up a little bit this year. So I'm thinking that Madden might have reformulated how their overall to attribute, I don't know how you call it. I think the attributes affect the overalls differently this year compared to Yeah, so I definitely think the attribute to overall ratio is changed. I will approach, the Madden equipment guru, and approach Rex and just ask both of them, if the formula's changed. If I find out anything, I'll be the first to let y'all know. Somebody has been posting some pretty entertaining little tidbits of information regarding the rosters is Brian Weedley from Pasta Padre. You can follow him on Twitter at Pasta Padre. So notable things that he's said. See here, teams with the fewest 90 overalls are the 49ers, Chargers, and Jaguars, who have nobody 90 plus overall. And then secondly, Buffalo, New York Jets, Cleveland, Indianapolis Colts, and Oakland Raiders all only have one 90 plus overall player. Teams with the most 90 overall players are the Seahawks with 6. And then New England, Cincinnati, Denver, Dallas, Green Bay, and Carolina all have 4. The thing with Dallas, I bet half their 90 overalls are on their offensive line, if not all of their 90 overalls on their offensive line. So teams with the fewest rated 80 overall rated players are the 49ers with 7, Browns with 7, Bears with 9, Rams with 10. If you think about all them teams and where they are from a competitive standpoint, that makes a lot of sense. They're all towards the bottom of the league for sure. The teams with the most 80 rated plus players are the Patriots with 20, the Cowboys with 18, the Raiders with 18, the Packers with 17. A lot of those teams are teams with definitely a lot more depth compared to other teams. The Cowboy situation kind of depends on the healthiness of Romo moving forward, and the Raiders are definitely up and coming. But the Packers and Patriots, they're there every year. They're a competitor every year. So it makes sense for them to have a lot of 80 rated plus players. The lowest rated guy in strength is the kicker Phil Dawson. The guy with the lowest throw power is Rob Ninkovich. The lowest injury is Ryan Harris. And the lowest elusiveness is David Arkin. So another thing. Well, that's all the information that I really gathered from Brian Weedley. So make sure you follow him on Twitter. His website's pastapadre.com. Awesome place to get sports gaming news, and he's also a really entertaining follow on Twitter. Really quick with any type of sports gaming news usually. So the one thing I gathered from looking at that, I didn't go real in depth looking at the attributes, but I did skim over some things. It seemed like running backs catching rating was down compared to last year. Like AP, I think had a 60 overall catching rating, and I'm thinking, I can't really say there's any certainty, and so I don't really dive into the game. I think they're trying to make guys that are known as pass catchers, guys like Darren Sproles, guys that are really just known to be able to catch the ball out of that backfield and make plays. I think they were trying to make them a more valuable thing in Madden because, I think years past, it really didn't help you that much if a guy could catch out of the backfield because I feel like everybody kind of catch out of the backfield a little bit. So we'll see if that's what they're trying to do with that. I hope that is what they're trying to do. I feel like there's a bigger gap between the higher overall rated players. Like I said, Antonio Brown's a 97 overall. I think Kelvin Benjamin's they have him coming in as an 82 or 84. So I'm hoping the gap between the elite players and the very good players is a lot larger this year. Like having an elite player in your team is a very major asset in the NFL. If you can get a guy like Watt, you can get a guy like Gronk or AB, Cam Newton. Those are game changers completely. I feel like in years of Madden past, I didn't necessarily need an elite. You don't need an elite player to win, but it definitely helps. And I feel like in Madden, it didn't matter at all if I had an elite player or not. I was gonna be able to compete with the team I had because, the best quarterback might be a 97, but there's they had a bunch of quarterbacks between 87 and 90. So you're not really losing that much if you're not getting an elite guy. So let me know what you think of the soundtrack. For you guys that have actually had time to look at the rosters, let me know what you think of the complete rosters. If you're bent out of shape about it, don't worry about it. Madden's very good about updating their rosters throughout the season. Like Josh Gordon came in as a 76. I think if he balls out, he'll be close to the 90s, I bet, mid-season. So, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Mr. 502. Leave a like, leave a comment. I'm out.